Rick and Morty's one of the best shows on TV right now, and if you're not watching it, you absolutely should be. There's a crazy amount of Easter eggs and hidden details in the show. So many that it would take hours to list them all, and that seems like a lot of work, so...
I'm Mr. Meeseeks! Look at me!
Mr. Meeseeks, I need you to pick Screen Rant's favorite Rick and Morty Easter eggs, please.
Ooh, yeah! Can do!
Awesome, here are Rick and Morty Easter eggs you totally missed. Or maybe you didn't miss them, in which case here are Rick and Morty Easter eggs that were great, so let's relive them together in this quick list Screen Rant compilation video. And before we get swifty and on the floor, be sure to hit that YouTube subscribe button and ring the bell to join the notification squad and stay up to date on our videos. Let's get started.
Show me what you got.
Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland obviously watch a lot of TV and movies, judging by the number of references found in Rick and Morty. And it seems like one of their favorite shows might be Breaking Bad. Everybody went nuts over the season 3 episode of Rick and Morty where Rick turns himself into a pickle, which anyone would do if they could because they could, but they won't because they can't. Rick then uses his intelligence to get out of terrible situations. And as it turns out, that was inspired by a Breaking Bad episode. Dan Harmon revealed the plot of this episode was in part inspired by the season 2 episode of Breaking Bad called 4 Days Out, where Walt and Jesse get stranded in the desert and Walt has to science his way out of it. There's also a Breaking Bad Easter egg in the premiere of season 3. There's a false memory of Rick working in the garage of his house that's an exact recreation of Walter White's house from Breaking Bad, although there's no pizza on the roof. This one's kind of a downer, but a pretty cool detail. If you're a fan of Rick and Morty seasons 1 and 2, you're probably familiar with writer-producer Dan Harmon's production company N-Card. It features claymation versions of him and his then-wife with the voiceover, did you get any of that? But something changed between seasons 2 and 3. You might have noticed I said then-wife. Dan Harmon unfortunately went through a divorce, which is now reflected in his N-Card that features him alone on a couch with a bunch of booze, looking more depressed than John after a conversation with Gazorp Field. Going back to season 1, the episode Mower Dog was a play on the 1992 movie Lawnmower Man. In that movie, Pierce Brosnan turns a mentally challenged landscaper into a genius. The movie also showcased some special effects that really hold up. The Rick and Morty episode centers around the family dog Snuffles. Snuffles becomes super intelligent and takes over the world. And at a certain point, Rick calls the dog Ruffles by mistake. That was actually the name of the family pet in Dog World, a show that Justin Roiland pitched to the Cartoon Network. You can watch the animatic of it online, and you'll probably notice that that's where the theme song for Rick and Morty was taken from. If you're like me, you grew up watching Disney's Recess and wanted nothing more than to punch Randall in the face. Well, it seems like somebody on the Rick and Morty team shared the same feelings. In the season 1 episode Something Ricked This Way Comes, Summer and Rick get super buff and kick the crap out of people, one of which seems to be a version of Randall from Recess. It's like a dream come true. A lot of Rick and Morty fans were originally fans of Dan Harmon's show Community, and they were immediately on board with Rick and Morty when they heard Harmon was involved in it. And those fans probably caught this detail. In the season 2 episode Autoerotic Assimilation, Rick reunites with his hive mind ex-girlfriend Unity, who's assimilating a planet. In one scene, Rick is watching TV and having fun canceling and uncanceling a show. That show is actually a Unity version of Community. There are Unity versions of Jeff, Britta, Abed, Troy, Pierce, Shirley, and Annie. And fans of Community remember those horrible times between seasons where we weren't sure if it was going to come back or not, or if it was on hiatus, or if it was ever gonna make it to the 6 seasons in a movie we were promised. Still waiting on that movie though. Jerry has had a pretty rough time on the show because he keeps acting like the most Jerry kind of Jerry. Well, in the episode Close Rick Counters of the Rick Kind, Jerry finally makes a friend in the form of Doofus Rick, a dim-witted Rick that respects him and also gets picked on. Unfortunately, the friendship doesn't last and Doofus Rick has to leave. But it seems like Jerry never really let go of that friendship. In the first episode of season 3, when Summer's trying to find Rick's secret lab, she opens a cabinet door and reveals that Jerry's keeping a framed picture of Doofus Rick in the garage. He does know that that guy eats poop, right? That's it for today's quick list. We obviously just scratched the surface of Rick and Morty Easter eggs here, so let us know some of your favorite ones in the comment section. If you're watching this video on Facebook, you can click the link to jump over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel.
And that's the way the news goes.
He says that all the time.